Hey gang, Scott here to give you some tips on how to work some types of math problems on the ACT test. This video is brought to you by actpracticetests.blogspot.com. The best place you can practice all of these tips is using ACT practice tests. Those are the best things to use to practice your test strategies and to get ready for the ACT. Alright, today we're going to talk about angles. There'll be several questions on the ACT that have to do with angles and finding the value of angles. And there's several tips that you need to know in order to solve those problems. And one of those tips is that when you have a straight line, the value of the angle, if you go all the way around, is 180 degrees. Remember, a circle is 360 degrees. So half of that is 180 degrees. Now how does that help you? Well, sometimes they will have a line that is going off from your original line, forming an angle here, and you need to find the value of that. And if you know how big the other angle is over here, then you can find that by subtracting it from 180 degrees. So for example, if this was 140 degrees, then if you take 180 minus 40, you would find the value of that angle, which is 40 degrees. Okay, so that's one thing you need to remember on the ACT, and that will help you. The next one also has to do with the value 180, and that is that triangles, all triangles have a unique property in that if you add each of their angles up, they always equal 180 degrees. It doesn't matter what the shape of the triangle is. It can be like that, it can be like that, it can be like that, any shape of triangle. The sum of all the angles in that triangle equal 180 degrees. Also remember that, and that will help you immensely. Okay, now there's two more things you need to talk about in order to solve these angle type problems. And that is when you have lines that are crossing like this, the angles that are opposite from one another. So that would be this one here and this one are equal. And put a 1 there to indicate that those are both equal. And then these are equal. So when lines intersect, the angles that are opposite from one another, or those, always are equal. Okay? And the last one, when you have parallel lines, lines that never touch, even if you would extend them out forever, and another line that intersects both of them, there are some angles, a bunch of angles here that are equal. First of all, we call these alternate interior angles. You can see they're kind of opposite. This one is on one side of the line, this one's on the other. This one is closer to the top line, this one's closer to the bottom line. So this angle right here is equal to that angle. And then the same way, this angle right here is equal to that angle. Now you'll also remember that we just talked about how when you have lines that intersect, that they're equal. That also applies here. So you can see that this angle would be equal to this one, and this one would be equal to this one, and this one would be equal to the one that's opposite from it, and this angle will be equal to the one that's opposite from it. So you can see if you look there, there's kind of a pattern there. And if you can remember that pattern and figure out basically how I told you from this rule here and then from the alternate interior angles, you can remember what angles are equal. Using a combination of all these things can help you solve a lot of problems, a number of problems on the ACT. Sometimes they'll have a triangle here, and you've got to figure out one of these angles. On another video, I'll show you how to put these tips into use and how to use them to solve these types of problems. Now, once again, practice tests are the very best place to practice these types of tips. So if you go to actpracticetests.blogspot.com, there'll be a lot of tips there on how to use practice tests to get the very best ACT score that you can. Until next time, this is Scott.